They come here, they don't bother to learn the language. Who do they think they are? Learning a language is a process. Even if you're just ordering a coffee in Spanish, you're still speaking the language.
Why does the boy always grab one of my breads?
There's two of them. So.
I agree with so many things that Karen is saying in here. It's true. I came to Mexico with zero Spanish history. Like a couple weeks before coming, I downloaded some Pimsleur classes that I never finished, but I found that it was just so much easier living in Mexico without knowing Spanish that once I kind of got comfortable with shopping, once I got comfortable with the transactional speech like she mentions, yeah, I kind of stop. I met so many English speakers in Merida, and even here in San Cris, there's a lot of people that understand, again, transactional English enough to get the job done, that I find myself very, very comfortable with not learning more Spanish. Okay, so this is a different company than what mine is from. So he's actually going to fill
Está bien.
Wow. Gracias.
¿De dónde viene usted? ¿De dónde viene? What is you from?
Florida.
Florida.
Estados Unidos.
Yeah.
Sí.
Sí. De la casa de los delfines.
Sí.
Delfines de Miami.
Sí, sí, sí.
Fútbol.
Sí. Pero mi casa es Jacksonville.
Jackson.
Es muy
Jaguares.
norte. Sí.
Ahí están los jaguares de fútbol.
Sí, yes, yes.
Está de vacaciones. Vacaciones, ¿no?
No, a long vacation.
Ah, unas
Sí.
largas vacaciones.
Sí. So once you know some basics, you can definitely live in Mexico without being fluent and without knowing all the things. But it's also true that I'm missing out on so many opportunities. There's so many things that I worry about whether I can do it or not because I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to follow. Can I in fact take, any kind of class from somebody who only speaks Spanish? And I'll tell you, we don't know. When I first arrived, we took a cacao class and the instructor spoke only Spanish. Now, I'm pretty sure he actually does speak English, but the class was conducted 100% in Spanish. And while I'll say the majority of the things he said, I actually did understand in Spanish. There were several parts where, luckily Karen, not Karencita, Karen, Mom on a Journey, where she was there and she was able to translate the parts that completely went over my head. A lot of the experiences I've had with a Spanish-only environment wasn't actually a Spanish-only environment. Yes, restaurants and stores, sometimes they will not speak any English, but it's transactional. We can basically guess what the other person wants, right? If I'm going to a store, I'm obviously there to buy something and they're there to provide that stuff. So I can just point, gesture the basic concept of the thing that I want and they'll be able to figure it out. So it's not like a lot of language is necessarily required for transactional purposes. I go to a restaurant, most restaurants have a menu. If they don't have a menu, they start listing foods. I pick the one that sounds closest to what I might be interested in and I go for it. And while I'm not necessarily afraid of taking a class where the instructor only speaks Spanish, the aerial yoga class, I had no idea that she spoke English, but as soon as she saw me, she flipped the switch and let me know that she speaks English. And of course, that's the default easiest language for me to learn from. And so that's what we did. She conducted the class in Spanish. Now, in future classes, there will be other students, and because they only speak Spanish, the class will be predominantly in Spanish, which is fine. Again, the yoga class is relatively transactional. I'm basically just mimicking what she's doing, so there's no requirement that I fully understand everything. But by not fully understanding everything, I miss out. I miss out on the nuances, I miss out on the depth of conversations, so many more experiences I could engage in if I were even just a little more fluent than I am. So last month, back in September, La Karencita opened up 4 seats for a Spanish class. And to get in, it wasn't just a matter of signing up. you had to actually apply via a video because she didn't want you to be completely new to Spanish. She wanted you to have some comfort level with the language. And while I've really never studied Spanish, I've definitely never studied how to conjugate verbs or any of that. 2 years in Mexico, and this is what I came up with. Okay, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, Karen. Mi nombre es Anne y soy una madre solitaire con un niño. Mi hijo es 11 años y soy turista en México por 2 años, 1 año y media en Mérida, Yucatán, Mérida, y 2-3 meses en San Cristóbal de las Casas. Soy militar retirado, ¿ya? Y necesito y gusto aprender español porque vivo en México. Sí, y gracias por tu consideración por class en español. And so I did get into the class, which I was super stoked about, in addition to the course material, which every class, she covered a very different topic of life here in Mexico, which I really appreciated because I had a lot of missing holes. She also required some type of video homework. So we were constantly doing some kind of homework in Spanish, as well as responding to the videos of our classmates and of course, Karen herself. Twice a week we had a live call and the entire class is conducted in Espanol, of course. So here are my thoughts after my very first class. Okay, just came home from the first class. Difficult. Remembering the words, and I'm used to reading the words, like seeing the words, but hearing other people say it, much more difficult. Even though we're relatively all slow speakers, still difficult. But I like the format of the class. I like how it feels informal, it feels like a chit chat. It was a fun class, even though stressful because I don't speak Spanish very well. And I think I know always that having conversation is definitely the way to improve my ability to have conversation, but doing it is different. So, and doing it with 4 other people as an introvertada, more difficult, but still fun. And I'm really glad she kept the class small, because if it was more than 4 people in the class, I think I would have been a lot more stressed. So overall, good, highly recommend. So here's the final verdict of her class. This was my very first Spanish class. It is, however, not my first language class. English is actually my second language. My first language was Japanese. No, sadly, I am no longer fluent in Japanese. But through all of high school, I took French, as well as in college, where I took French and Japanese because I was insane. And I did live in Italy for 2 years early in my Navy career. And so I'm not completely new to the Latin language concept, but I would certainly not suggest that I'm fluent in any other language but English at this point. And so the Spanish that I had prior to taking Karencita's course is living in Mexico.
It's very much
Watching sporadic YouTube videos in Spanish.
Estoy en San Cristóbal de las Casas, un pueblo mágico ubicado en el estado de Chiapas, famoso por sus hermosos templos, por sus maravillosas artesanías y porque aquí se encuentran el Museo del Jade y el Museo del Ámbar.
Watching Netflix shows and movies in Spanish.
Querido pueblo de San Jaime de las Caibas, los he convocado para anunciarles que la montaña,
sometimes with subtitles, sometimes without, and listening to the occasional Spanish song. But here's what I found taking her course, and it's something I knew. Like if you had asked me, I knew this was my weakness, and that is speaking. It is one thing to be able to hear Spanish or hear a language and go, I kind of know what he's saying. Again, especially when it's a transactional conversation, you can kind of guess, but to respond back, that is something I am atrocious at. I often respond back with super simple words, simple language, because I don't trust my pronunciation. I don't trust my vocabulary. Again, it's easier to understand when you hear it than to actually speak or write a language. And so in this class, I was forced to speak to other people, sometimes pre-recorded where I could plan what I wanted to say. And of course in class, I just had to pull out whatever Spanish I could. She was really great about giving us a nice variety of vocabulary, lots of examples of how I might say something on that topic. And so she did make it easy and fun. And we also played lots of games where we had to not only know the vocabulary words, but apply it kind of quickly and on the spot, which was super stressful sometimes, but pretty darn effective. And so the last 2 years, I got used to saying kind of these known phrases, right? Phrases that I was really comfortable with over and over and over again. And so when at every class I had a different topic to talk about, it was stressful, it was difficult, it was frustrating. It was helpful. You won't be surprised to know that my best class was when we were talking about food. That's probably one of my stronger Spanish skills. Now I do want to confess, I did not go to every class. Yeah, there's literally only 6 live classes and I only went to 3. I know, but I did study all 6. Just didn't always commit to the class time. So today, I will be applying for her next class, which is happening really soon. Unlike last time where there were only 4 slots, now there are 8. So wish me luck in getting in, because I definitely do need a coach. I need somebody who encourages me to learn and practice and use what Spanish skills I do have and to hone my speaking skills in, because even in my transactional discussions, I'm relying on kind of the key words that I know to fill in the gaps. So there are many times where a local is unable to fully comprehend what I'm saying, because in between maybe the vocabulary words that I do know, I'm kind of just throwing in a little bit of English, a little bit of Italian, maybe some French that I remember. And I speak this very jumbled Spanglish, which, while at the end of the day, I've definitely survived and even honestly thrived here in Mexico, it really puts a lot of burden on the person I'm talking to either know English or to be willing to puzzle piece the phrases I'm saying. So what's my point? My point is I need to learn Spanish. My point is I need to keep learning Spanish. And at least for myself, it is this slow, little by little, step by step. The more I practice, the better I will become, the more comfortable I will be, the better my pronunciation, the wider my vocabulary. And so if you're like me and you need to improve your Spanish, again, this is not a 101 course. There is expectation that you have some level of Spanish knowledge. Then link is below to Karencita's course. This is not sponsored in any way. I'm pretty sure she would rather show off a student that maybe went to all the classes. So that'll be next month's video. And so if improving your Spanish is something that you also want to do, then you know what? I think you should apply for this course as well. I wish you luck in getting in, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll be classmates.